You're on mute.
Mhm. Letitia, while you're talking, I think I'll probably turn my camera off so I'm not distracting you.
Okay.
And that's when I'll really
Here
really get
we
after
go.
this fly.
I got
Okay.
it.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Hello. How are
Hi.
you?
How's it going?
Pretty good. Can't complain. How's it going with you ladies?
It's going pretty good. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Narika was one of the original people, like the first one that we were having. She was one of the people that was on there. So I do
Oh,
appreciate it. Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
Yes. So a blast from the past.
Yes.
Yep.
A nice reunion, if you will.
Yeah. Narika, you're out in Norfolk, right?
No, we actually purchased a home in Hampton. So I'm in Phoebus now.
Oh,
Oh,
Thank
congratulations.
you, thank you, thank
That's
you.
awesome.
We stuck to our plan, made sure the boys got out of college and it, on to bigger and better things.
That's awesome. It all
Nice.
worked out. I love that. Yeah, Narika is interested in investing. Also, from my understanding, you were talking about land, I think, the last time that we spoke.
Yes.
Now, do you have a plan for the land or?
I have several plans. So one of my plans was just to hold it for a little while, depending on how much I got. I was looking at it. If it at first, I wanted to see is it um will it be graded for commercial or residential?
Mhm.
So if it was commercial, I was going to think about like maybe holding it. Hopefully, somebody big like Amazon or one of the big names will come through and purchase the land and move forward that way, or I can make it like put like some wide body trailers on there, that's
Mhm.
Yeah.
affordable.
Hmm.
So I had a couple of things I was looking at. I was trying to make that happen by my birthday of next year. That was going to be my gift to myself. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna still play it by ear. Whatever God is going to bless me with, I'm gonna just rock out with it.
I
Now,
understand.
Letitia, with something like that, would that fall under a business loan, you think? Because I also thought when you were talking to Rika, I thought about storage units also.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that was the other idea also.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, that could be a business loan. It definitely depends on the route you would want to take, whether you're going commercial or
Residential.
residential.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And sometimes you might find, Narika, that it might be easier to purchase existing structures
Okay.
and then rehab them
Okay.
versus buying land because the thing with land is there's no collateral, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And so if you're, of course, now if you're buying land and you find land that's at a really good price and you have the 35% to put down, because with land having no collateral, you're usually
Hmm.
going to have more money vested into your project,
Okay.
especially if you're going to buy and hold it. Now, if you were to buy and put a structure on it immediately, then that's a different approach. So
Okay.
it really just depends on what your approach is. So I think probably the simplest way to go would be to purchase something that already has a structure
Okay.
because then that structure can be used as collateral. You would already have what's called an after repair value on that structure, and then you could determine how you want to renovate it or rehab it for the use
Okay.
for what you intend to use it. So there are so many ways to approach this investing experience, and I'm excited to get into it. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think let's go ahead and get started. This is being recorded, so anybody that, can't make it for some reason, um,
I know how you feel because
yeah,
I'm the same way. What is
it's
it
like
about?
this big. This fly is like this big. It's so funny. Letitia keeps saying, I can't see it. Like it's like right here
Here.
in my face. But we'll go ahead and get into it. Just out of respect for everybody's time, and we are recording this, so if anybody wants it, or if anybody reaches out and says, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry I missed it," then we can go ahead and send it to them.
Okay.
Um, so I just want to welcome you to Keys and Capital with Letitia and Thebra. Letitia Elliott, who is a loan officer broker, and me, Thebra, who is a realtor. Um, So I have a one track mind. I get pretty easily distracted. So what I like to do is to get through the entire present, we'll call it a presentation. It's not really a presentation, more like an open discussion. And then we'll
Okay.
take questions at the end. So please write down your questions and we'll answer them at the end because we want to hear them. We want to be able to answer them.
Okay.
Um, so essentially, oh, someone's here. Oh, Takia. Okay.
Aw.
Yeah, this will be a nice little reunion. Hey, Takia, how are you?
Yes.
We were just getting started.
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you so much for
Hi.
joining.
Hello.
No
Takia,
problem.
it's a fly in here with me, so you're gonna see me fighting this fly for the majority of the time. I'm gonna get it. I promise you. I'm gonna get
Okay.
it. So we were just talking about, I was doing some housekeeping. I was talking about how I'm easily distracted, as you can see by the fly. So I wanted to get for us to get through the presentation first, and then we'll take questions at the end. So please write down any questions that you have, because we want to hear them and be able to answer all of them. So Keys and Capital is our way of spreading love to our investors and our future investors, because there are so many different ways to invest, right? And some of them are
Yes.
wrong. What we want to do is provide you with accurate information to help you make smart investments and get back all of your ROI. So today's agenda, we're going to start with Letitia. She's going to talk about the financial side of investing. She's going to talk about DSCR financing, fix and flips, buy and hold, why these loan types are typically credit score driven, down payment requirements, cash out refinance, and equity lines of credit. Once
Mhm.
Letitia's done, I'll talk about the real estate portion of it, what to look at when looking at an investment, what to look for when looking at an investment property, location, 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 and why it matters.
Mhm.
Why it's important to know your numbers, and also being intentional with your purchase. In closing, we'll talk about value versus purchase price. That's where we'll kind of wrap up anything that we kind of didn't get to say during the presentation.
Mhm.
And after that, we will have an open Q&A where we'll answer any questions that you guys have. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you guys Letitia Elliott. Letitia Elliott is one of the best loan officer brokers that I know. She's someone that I go to when I have questions. She comes from an education background, and it definitely shows in the way that she handles her buyers and her agents. So please welcome Letitia Elliott.
All right.
Thank you so much, Thebra. And to Narika and Sakia, this is such an honor and privilege to be connected and to talk about investment. This is an area that I love to, like, this is one of my top three. I love working with first-time home buyers. I love working with veterans. I'm a certified veterans lending specialist. And then I love working with investors. So let's start with DSCR. If you don't know, the DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. It qualifies the property and not the person.
Mhm.
So a DSCR loan is going to look at the property and say, hey, does the mortgage that you're going to take out on this home, um, is it covered by the rent or the money that you're going to collect by having this property? So let's just say, for example, you purchase a duplex. That duplex costs $325,000. The monthly mortgage on it is $1,950. But if you rent out side one for $1,300 and side two for $1,500, then you have a $2,800 cash flow that you have coming in, so it more than covers the mortgage on that home. So that's what the lender is going to look at when they decide whether or not you get to take advantage of a DSCR loan. So basically, the debt is being serviced by the mortgage that's covering, I'm sorry, the cash flow or the rent that's coming in on that property. Um, so a ratio above one means that the property generates enough income. And what does above one mean? Like I said, if the mortgage is 1950, but the rent you're collecting on it is 2800, then you have a ratio above one.
Mhm.
Now, DSCR, there are a lot of lenders that say you have to have some type of investment experience. But then we also have a whole bunch of lenders that say you can do this and it be your first time. So as a loan officer broker, as Theba was saying, I have access to over 380 lenders. If somebody says no, more than likely I have others that will say yes. Well, what does it entail? You definitely want a decent credit score. Many of them are looking for 660 and higher, but then the next piece is really the property. So you want to make sure that that property is in good condition, that it's livable, that whoever you're planning on renting to, that they can just move right in and there's no issue with that. A DSCR loan can close in as quickly as 7 days. It could take 21 days, 28 days. It really just depends on the appraisal, the title, and all that good stuff. So that's what a DSCR loan is. And that's just a little snippet of what the financing would look like on that. The second one is a fix and flip. Um, Again, as a loan officer broker, we have lenders that will do this with no experience, and we have some that want you to have experience. But basically, what a fix and flip is it's going to be a short-term loan. You're either going to get this loan for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, and you're basically purchasing the home and you're also borrowing money to rehab the home. So you're fixing it and then you're flipping it. So to flip it basically means that you are going to either fix it and sell it or fix it and then flip it into a DSCR loan. So once you rehab it and it becomes rentable, or you rehab in it and it becomes sellable, then that determines what your next step is going to be on a fix and flip. So you might ask, well, what is an example of a fix and flip? Say you're riding down the street and you come across this house that looks abandoned. Like, okay, the grass is high, maybe the roof looks a little like messed up. You could tell that the house is empty. That house is probably in some type of distress. You could get with the owner of that home, or maybe there's even a realtor who has listed it, and they might say, "Oh, yeah, the seller said you can have this home for 50,000 or $60,000." And then you look at that house and you say, "Man, okay, 3 beds, 1.5 baths. I could probably sell this for 185 after it's brought to life." So then you purchase it for the 50,000 or the 60,000, and then you get another 50 or 60,000 to bring it to life. So that means whatever it needs, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, whatever, but you got to get the work done. And then once you have it to where it's brought up to par, then you can decide, am I going to keep this and rent it out, or am I going to sell it? At that point, if you decide to keep it, then you can come back to me, and say, okay, I need to do what's called a DSCR, cash out refi. Now I'm going to take the cash out of the house because it's been brought to value. I'm going to pay off that short-term loan, and then I'm going to get me some renters in there and start cash flowing that property. So that's an example of a fix and flip. Again, there are some lenders that will do that with no experience, but I will let you know, if you don't have experience, you are going to pay. And one of my favorite phrases as a loan officer is to tell people nothing in life is free. I
Nothing.
don't care if it's down payment assistance, if you're doing some
Gonna
type of
pay.
investment, you're going to pay because everybody wants their money, right?
Right.
So that's something that you can keep in mind regarding a fix and flip. And let's see, let's go to, well, buy and hold is basically what happens after the fix and flip, right? So after you fix it, you decide, I'm going to hold on to this property. And that's when you turn that short-term loan for the rehab into a long-term loan by doing the cash out refinance on that. These loans are very simple because they're really based on your credit score, your experience, and the property that you are interested in. There are some lenders that will not loan in rural areas. They will say, oh, you have to be within 60 miles of a metropolitan area. But then there are some lenders that niche and they do rural areas. So it would just be a matter of doing the research and finding out what works best for our client. So after those ones that I just mentioned, which is the DSCR loan, the fix and flip, the buy and hold, and the cash out refi, there's something called a home equity line of credit or equity line. A home equity line of credit can be done on your primary residence, but now they have become so popular that you can even do a HELOC on your investment property. And basically, what that means is tapping into the equity on the home without messing with your current interest rate on your property. So, for example, I have a young man and his wife in Georgia. I think I've worked with them about 5 times now. I helped them buy their primary residence. I helped them buy their investment property. They did the fix and flip. They did the DSCR cash out refi. We did a refi on their current home as far as their primary res. And then we just recently did a home equity line of credit on the investment property. The home is in Georgia. The investment property is worth 260. They only bought it for 90,000. The first time they did the cash out refi, they only got $60,000 out. And I wanted to say, why are y'all taking out such a little bit of money? So then they came back and was like, okay, how can we get more equity? But their rate was like a 6.125%, and they didn't want to mess with that rate. So they chose to do a HELOC. Now, a home equity line of credit, you can take a draw on that for 5 years. After 5 years, that draw closes, and then you're paying on it just like a regular loan for 30 years. Home equity lines of credit are usually higher interest rates because there's more risk to it. But some people say it's okay. I need this money. You can get that money in as quick as 5 business days. So that's what they do. Um, so that's everything. I know I said a lot, but whenever you're ready, if you want to circle back and, ask me any questions, that's basically the gist of the investing side of the loan or mortgage industry. Ibra, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you because you definitely just taught me some stuff that I didn't know when you talked about the HELOC on the investment property that I did not know
Yes,
that. So
yes.
I'm happy that I attended as well. Um, oh, and I won. The fly is gone.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That's
It was
cool.
rough in here for a minute, but I got it. Um, Thank you so much, teacher, for that information. So I'm going to talk to you guys about what to look for when buying an investment property. So when purchasing an investment property, you definitely want to make sure that there is cash flow potential. You want to ensure that you're going to get your return on your investment. And if you can start with equity, then that's great. Go into the property, buy low. Buy low, sell high is the easiest way to say that. Sometimes investors will bypass the real estate professional to save on commission to have more equity in the property. I would urge you not to do that because a real estate professional does offer a lot of expertise in a transaction for an investment property. We offer negotiation, resources if you need contractors and things like that. Of course, lenders, we offer document handling, transaction handling as well. So definitely, if you are going to buy low, don't bypass the real estate professional. You want to look at the physical attributes of the investment property. So whenever I'm going into a house, this is whether I'm with an investor or if I'm with a first-time home buyer, I'm always looking at the ceiling. That's the first thing that I do. I look at the ceiling because you want to check for any sort of discoloration on the ceiling. You want to check for any sort of um, kind of humps in the ceiling or anything that looks like it could have been painted over. This could be an indicator that there's an issue with the roof or an issue in the attic. I always walk into every single room in the house and I make sure that I do my best to make sure that my foot touches every part of the floor. I'm looking for any sort of dips in the flooring, any soft spots, also any humps. You have floor joists that could be misplaced or cracked or um, moisture ridden. Um, Termites is also something that could be an indicator of. Uh, and this is just to kind of help you make informed decisions. And honestly, if you're feeling froggy, then get in the crawl space and go and look down there for yourself. Or if you have somebody, if you're bringing a contractor with you, then hey, get in there, get in the attic, take a look, do as much due diligence as you can before you actually put an offer on the property. Again, informed decisions. I also like to look at the age of the appliances and the systems. This is important as well. If you need to budget for replacement of the HVAC, the water heater, these are things that can be costly. These are things that need to be added to your repair costs. I want to say that Virginia is a buyer beware state. So not saying that a seller doesn't have to tell you everything, but a seller doesn't have to tell you anything. It's up to you to
Mhm.
do your due diligence. If the water's on, run it, flush the toilets, turn the shower on, turn the tub on, check and see if there are any leaks anywhere. And again, if you want to get in the crawl space, see if there are any leaks in the crawl space, then I'm not going to stop you. I want you to tell me what it looks like down there too. Um, Going outside, you want to look at the roof of the property. You know how sometimes you'll look at a roof of an older house and it'll kind of be like wavy a little bit?
Mhm.
Those are nail
Mhm.
pops that can indicate a age. It's an
Mhm.
older roof if you may need to budget for replacement. This is adding to your repair costs. Foundation, I always like me a nice straight foundation straight across, no down, nothing leaning, no big major cracks. Uh, this could be this could indicate a major issue. Foundations are expensive, something that you would add to your repair costs. You want to know where the septic is. Is the septic drain field, the leach field, is it right beside a tree? That could indicate that there's roots growing into the septic system. Replacing the septic is very expensive. So these are just kind of some of your larger cost items outside of those cosmetic repairs.
Mhm.
Um, well location, you want to know where that is as well. Turning my page on my notes here. Um, and this is just going to help you with knowing about what your after repair costs are. And in some cases, it'll save you money as well. Because if you're going into a property and you're intending to, okay, I'm just gonna paint it, or I'm gonna, just replace these cabinets or something like that. And then in the middle of everything, you find out that you have to replace a full septic, then you're going to have wasted all that money on your cosmetic um, repairs that you did when you could have used it for the septic. We all have a budget. We all only have so much money. And typically
Mhm.
a buyer is going to be more forgiving for cosmetic issues than they will for having to replace the septic or an HVAC unit or a roof. Next, we'll get into location. And actually, while I'm talking about location, I'll talk about being intentional as well, because they kind of tie in hand to hand. When we think about location, we consider location, I always stress to have a plan. So, what are you planning to do with this property? And this kind of tied into a little bit with what Letitia said as well. Do you plan to buy and hold? If you plan to buy and hold, you're going to want to know what your rental income will be for that area before you go into it. Is it enough to cover the mortgage? Now, the lender's going to stop you if it's not anyway, but I want to save you from paying for your inspections, placing an offer on a property, any money that goes in, having somebody hold an earnest money deposit. Do your due diligence prior to putting an offer on a property. If you do decide to buy and hold, will you use a property manager? Are there costs that are going to be incurred with that? Do you plan to do it yourself? Do you have the time? Do you have the bandwidth to be able to do it yourself? Would you rather use something like a service like Section 8? If you do decide to use something like Section 8, you should reach out to the Section 8 office, find out what their requirements are. They may require that you do one thing to a property and not another thing. I found out through speaking with Section 8 that your driveway can't have a dip more than, I think, like 4 inches, I want to say.
Mm.
So that's something that would be added into your repair cost. Most people wouldn't even think about that. I didn't. So if you decide to do something like Airbnb, do you know the Airbnb analytics for your area? will you get your return on your investment? Again, are you going to take care of the Airbnb yourself? Are you going to hire someone to do so? Is that an additional cost? All these factors go into the initial purchase of the property. Fix and flip. If you decide to do a fix and flip, know about the value before you buy. I know that you can't know 100%, but have an idea of the after repair value before you buy. And that's another way that a realtor can assist you. We can provide a CMA and assist you with figuring out the after repair value. A real estate professional, again, can work in conjunction with the loan officer just to make sure that you're not wasting your time and you're not wasting unnecessary money. So, why it's important to know.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So why it's important to know your numbers. Being upside down is no fun. You want to make sure that you have enough equity within the after repair value that if for some reason you had to, let's say the crap hits the fan and you have to sell, there's no way around it. You still need to be able to sell that house. At the end of the day, the property is supposed to be an investment property. You're supposed to make money off of it. So you want to make sure that you know your numbers, you're solid on your numbers, that you know that you can make some money. And I think that that's pretty much that's it. That's all I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Letitia, did you have anything else to say about value versus purchase price?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think I spoke so quickly that I probably glossed over a couple of things regarding the approval process. So I know I talked about your credit score. Usually 660 is the sweet spot or higher. There may be some lenders that might go to 640, but you really want to aim for like a 700 credit score if you can. A 700 mid FICO, you can almost write your own ticket.
Mhm.
You don't have to submit any like income documents. So no work history, nothing like that, but you do have to submit a credit report. You can do this in your entity, like if you have an LLC or an EIN, or you can do it personally, but the lender will always look at your personal credit report. They may not report to your personal credit report, but they're going to look at that for obvious reasons, right? They want to make sure that there's something called the ATR, ability to repay rules. So they want to make sure that you are fiscally sound, even though they are looking at the property as well and making sure that the property will cash flow. So the down payment on a DSCR is usually gone are the days when you can put down 10 or 15%. So if anybody's telling you, oh, you can do an investment property for 10% or 15% down, they are either a private money person or they are lying. So I just want you to know that. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. So you want to be prepared to put down 20 to 25% on an investment property. And that's going to be based on your score and sometimes based on your experience. So if you're looking at a home that costs $100,000, then you need to be prepared to put $25,000 on that home. And guess what? A lot of people don't know this. You can get seller credit on an investment property. Some lenders will allow 3%, some will allow all the way up to 6% of the sales price on an investment property. So keep in mind credit score, down payment. You want to have reserves after the loan closes. So some lenders will say after you close, we want to see at least 6 months worth of reserves. So if you buy a property that all in is going to be $120,000 and the monthly payment on it is $850 a month, then you want to have $5,000 in the month or whatever equals um, $850 times 6 months. That's how much reserves you need to have available after you close. So sit in your bank account after you close. Now, what you do with the money after you close is your business, but you need to have that in there by the time you pay your closing costs to satisfy the lender. You can do investment on single family residence. You can do it on 2 to 4 units. There are some that will do 10 up to 10 units. So there's just like, and that would still be considered residential. Once you get up into like the other things, then it becomes commercial and that becomes a whole different
Mhm.
animal. But I just wanted to talk about that application process because I didn't want to skip over that. And the other thing is, if you find a property, you want to take pictures of the property because you're literally creating a case for the lender for why they should lend this money to you. So you're not just going to do the listing photos. You're actually going to go to the property. You're going to take wide, full pictures, okay? So if there's a ceiling and it shows some leaking and you know you got to replace the walls in that area, you want to take good pictures of that. If I don't know if the steps, the porch needs to be replaced or redone, or if you want to add a bathroom, or if you want to turn this closet into something, you need those types of pictures in order to support your case. Another good thing to know is that the lender is never going to loan more money for the rehab than the cost of the home. So if you buy the home for 100,000, they're not going to loan you 150,000 to repair, meaning
Mhm.
giving you a total of 250. They're usually going to loan you that 100,000 and then maybe 60, 70, 80, 90,000 to repair it depending on what the after repair value is going to be. And they're only going to loan up to 70% or 75% of the after repair value. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So let's just say the house is, it's going to be worth $300,000 after it's repaired. Whatever 70% of 300 is, 30, 60, 90. So they're not going to loan you more than $210,000 on that house. So if you bought it for 90 and you get $90,000 worth of rehab money, that's 180. So
Mhm.
you got a little wiggle room in there, but that's just a little example of how that part works too. So this way of investing is, I'm not going to say the expensive way, but people do something called house hacking as well, which is another type of investing where they buy their first home, they live in it, then after a year they move out of it and they rent it. That's one way where people are like, well, how come my friend did it and they only put 3.5% down? Well, they probably bought it as a primary residence, lived in it for a while, and then turned it into an investment property and moved on to buy their step up home or whatever. But this way, when you're investing straight out like this, you're going to have to put money down. You're going to have a certain credit score, and you're going to have to provide proof of the work that's going to be done. And most of the time, you're going to have to have contractors to do the work. So they will provide you with a due diligence checklist so you'll know ahead of time. Like Thieber was saying, you want to get an idea of the work that needs to be done. You want to know how much it's going to possibly cost. And so you'll submit your quotes, your checklist, and all that good stuff along with it.
Okay.
Any
Cool.
questions?
Well, I just
Um,
wanted to add too, when you go to look at the property, take a contractor with you. If you have a contractor
Yeah.
that you trust,
mhm.
take them with you and they will typically give some type of quote at that time or, a little later once they get back to their desk. And also, Letitia, you made me think of upfront costs, having money for upfront costs as well. So not just
Hmm.
reserves, but money to cover if an earnest money deposit is required, which is always a good idea. Um, if you're getting a home inspection, do those financing types, Letitia, do they require an appraisal?
Oh,
I
yes.
imagine. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
If
money for
you
the appraisal. Go ahead.
Yep, if you're going to get an appraisal on a DSCR, like a property that you intend to cash flow, you're going to have a two-in-one appraisal. So you're going to appraise for the value of the home, but then they're also going to appraise for the market rate rent of the home, and that will also have to pass. And I'll give you another example. I had a young man, he just closed on his duplex. He's 25 years old.
Wow.
We thought that the duplex was going to appraise at a market rate rent of $1,600 a month, and it missed by $100,
Oh,
but it
wow.
messed up his debt to income ratio. So we had to do two things. You could either bring more money down, put more money down to help offset the difference, or
Mhm.
you can buy down the interest rate. So he chose to buy down the interest rate, which worked in his favor because then the monthly payment was lower, and it also helped us meet his debt to income ratio requirement. But things like that are things that we have no control over. So you don't really want to be strapped for cash when you
Mhm.
are purchasing an investment property. And I think what you said, Thebra, buy low, sell high is a good example of that, especially like your first time doing it. You want to make sure, I'm not saying play it safe, but be wise, you know.
Mhm.
Thankfully, he was in a position to buy down his rate because by the time he bought down the rate and had to pay off like a couple of credit cards, it cost him like an extra $5,000. Thankfully, he had it, but he was going to recoup it because the monthly payment was lower. And he was still going to be able to, he's going to rent it out for 1750 a month,
Yeah.
but you still have to go by what's in black and white, based on the appraisal. So,
Okay.
Awesome. I have a question actually, Letitia.
yeah.
Would you say that those loan types, are they a longer process than your traditional financing, like your FHA, conventional VA, or is it about the same, like 30 to 45, 60 day?
I would say it's about the same. I mean, I've had clear to closes on these types of things in 14 days, 22 days. It really just depends on, um, it depends on the property, the lender, the buyer, and how like vested they are in the process. And as long as there are no like you said, Thebra, like as long as there are no big surprises, like some foundational issues and stuff like that. Because once you get into like foundational issues, you're getting into a different type of lender. And not all lenders are interested in dealing with foundational stuff and, things like that. So the process can be fairly quick, especially if we do a lot of the legwork together up front. So I like to ask a lot of questions. I like to get certain things from my borrowers. Like, if it's a property, I want to know what your wish list is, what needs to be done, what you plan to do with that property. Are you going to sell it? Are you going to, cash out, refi, and cash flow it? Because that's going to help me know what your next like checklist is from me, because then you're going to have to budget, and that's where the contractor comes in. You're going to have to be able to budget. Okay, is the roof going to be 3,000, 8,000, or 10,000?
Mhm.
Is all new flooring, is that going to be 5,000? Like what is going to be the cost of all these things? And then you also have to consider dumpsters, like
Mhm.
getting rid of the rubbish that's in the home and all of those. So that's another cost, A bathroom renovation, is that whole bathroom going to cost me 1,500 or 3,000? So those are like the types of things that you're going to need to map out as well. And if you have a lot of that stuff up front, it makes the process go quicker.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Did anyone else have any questions?
I did. I have a question about, do you know anything about a USDA grant?
A USDA grant for investment?
Yes, if you wanted to just go out, like for instance, like me, if I wanted to go out, say what I was told, the farther away from the city you are, the cheaper the property is.
Hmm.
And I also was told to ask you guys about the US, like I said, the USDA grant. Would that help as far as purchasing something in like Southampton County or Surrey County?
So that would be something that I would have to look into. I think you're teaching
Okay.
me something here. Now, typically USDA is for residential, but as I look
Okay.
at my friend Google here, there's something called value added producer grants for investment purposes. I've not
Okay.
come across this as a loan officer, but it's possible. Um, as I'm looking through Google, that there may be some, I would have to read through this first before I say yes, but I'm taking note and I'll definitely look into it. Debra, have you heard
I have, but I was
anything?
going to ask you about the renovation loan. I think that you told me about the USD. I know that we talked about a VA renovation loan, but is there a USDA renovation loan as well?
Yes, but that's for primary residences. That's if you're going to live in it as your primary residence.
Now,
So.
could you, what you talked about earlier, house hacking, could you live in it for a year and then move on, you think? Or
Yep. I mean, so we're saying that, but you always have to have the intent to live in the home, when you're
Mhm.
purchasing something residential. Now, if something comes up, if your family size changes, or if you have a life situation or circumstance, nobody can, argue with that. So, yes, but there are such things as a USDA renovation loan, a
Yeah.
VA renovation loan. We know most of us, I think, have heard of the FHA 203K loan, but not many of us have heard probably of the conventional renovation loan, which would be called a choice renovation loan. So almost every entity has some type of renovation loan, which is
Okay.
pretty cool.
Okay.
Latoya, did you have a question?
Yeah. Do you need a business plan for these loans?
No, you don't. So your business plan is basically either are you cash flowing it or are you purchasing it to rehab it and then resell it? But no, you don't need to say like, such and such LLC is mainly for this purpose or whatever. You just, you got to really have the money, the credit score, and the house or property needs to be able to perform. That's basically the gist.
Okay.
Good question.
And I have another question. So the loan amount, is that based on like your potential tenants in the home?
Good question. The loan amount is going to be based on the value of the home. So if you find a home that's already ready to be lived in and you can afford the down payment that's required and you have the credit score for it, then that is what you apply based on. So you would fill out an application with me just like you would if you were purchasing your residential property, but you would leave out your employment information. So I don't need anything about knowing where you work or anything like that, but you would provide your driver's license, your social security card. We would pull a regular credit report. I would need your bank statement so that I could see, or your 401k or wherever you plan to get your assets from to show that you have the down payment, the reserves, and the closing costs to purchase the home. And that's how you would determine the loan amount.
Got you. Okay. Okay.
I have a follow. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Latoya. Um, were you still asking a question?
No, no, you can go ahead.
I have a follow on. So for something like DSCR financing, does I know that the part of a portion of it is based on how much the rent will be. Is it that as well as the overall value, or where does that kind of come into play?
Yeah, so the overall value of the home is what the lender is going to loan you. So if you find a house for sale and they're selling it for 195, but the appraisal comes back at 185, you could fight back and do all the things, but if it comes back that it's really 185, then that's what the lender is going to loan you, the 185 on the home. Now the market rate rent, that's called I believe it's called a 1007. So the regular appraisal is called the 1004D, then the 1007 is the market rate rent. Whatever that come, and Zillow usually has like a rent estimate. um, so basically, the appraiser is going to do their comps, probably very similarly to what a realtor would do, with the comparative market analysis, and they're going to tell you, okay, the going rate for rent on this property is X number of dollars, and
Mhm.
so your mortgage has to be less than whatever that is. And so the way to get that mortgage less is by either putting down more money or buying down the interest rate. That's like, you got to find that sweet spot to help make it work. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Did anyone else have any questions? Or anyone have any more questions?
No.
Takia, you don't have any questions?
No, but you've been giving a lot of good information. Like, I didn't know, like, I understand better now because before I didn't really understand. So I just don't have any questions, but y'all did a
Aw,
good job.
thank you, thank you. It's good to
You're
hear your
welcome.
voice. Yeah, these are very exciting loans. And I think a lot more people do these types of loans than we realize. Like when I think about people who own properties and stuff like that, a lot of them, you have heard that phrase before, move in silence. But
Mhm.
there are so many people who invest in property. Like a lot of people that I have come across, they have just really buckled down and said, okay, every tax return I get or every whatever I'm doing to my side hustle, I'm just stacking this money because I want to own investment properties. And to see like the discipline that some people have to do this is kind of crazy to me. And another thing that I noticed just working in the mortgage industry is that a lot of realtors do investment properties. Because why? Because most of the time, they can say, okay, I'll just take my next three like commission checks and stack this money so I can do this, this project. And that's not to like oversimplify the work that any of us do in this real estate industry, because it's not for the faint of heart. What I'm saying is that a lot more people do the investing than I realized before, I got into this work myself.
And to add to that, why a lot of realtors also invest is we're typically the first people to learn about the investment opportunities because
Hmm.
who's someone going to call? Hey, I need you to tell me how much my house is worth. Okay, well, I
Mhm.
have this money here, and actually I'll buy it. That way you
Yes.
can buy and I'm able to give a deal, or a realtor is able to give a deal because it's like, okay, you're going to save on the such and such commission, you're going to save on this, we can definitely use it to our advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, yep. So
And I find that my husband is a realtor too. He's a pastor first and foremost. But people come to him, they say like, hey, my grandfather is not well. We're trying to figure out what to do with this house. We just want to get rid of it. We'll take anything. And when they
Mhm.
say anything, they're like 35,000, $40,000. And it's
Get rid of it.
tempting. My husband's like, we could get that. We could get that. And I'm like, wait a minute. We have some goals. Wait a minute. But I understand what you're saying, Thebra. Like when you get that first opportunity, it does cross your mind, like, hmm,
yeah.
how can we make this work? So,
And just to also, I thought of something. Just when you are looking for investment properties, I know you mentioned this earlier, Letitia. Overgrown grass is one
hmm,
indicator that someone hasn't been in the property for a while, and also a stuffed mailbox is
yes,
another
Yes.
indicator that someone hasn't been in the property for a while.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I actually have a funny story about that. There's a house on my road I ride past every day, and I never knew anybody lived there. I thought it was empty. It's well kept. The grass is always cut. It's a beautiful property. And one day I rode by and they had the garage up and that's where the cars were. And I was like, oh, duh, they keep their cars in the garage. So people actually did live there. They were just keeping the cars in the garage. So.
Okay.
Oh, did
That is
anybody else have
funny.
any questions?
So I do. Do any of you ladies know someone that I can work with to for my goals? I would like to clean up some more credit, and I would like to take the steps to becoming a boss because I can't do my electrical job. The work, the weather is wearing on my body. So
Wow.
I would like some help. I thought I reached out to you, Miss Lawrence, in concerns of you have a mentor or something.
You
So
did,
Aw.
you did. I think that Letitia has a credit person that she works with, and she can definitely help you
okay.
with your financing for your investment property that you were speaking about earlier, and also help
Mhm.
you with figuring out exactly which way to go based on what your financial profile is, what's going to be the fastest way to go. Maybe we got to wait for this to be straight first, and then, we'll work on this in the long term. So I think Letitia would be the best person for that. If she's
Okay.
okay with
Thank
it. I'm sorry,
you.
Letitia.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I put my name, my phone number, and my email address in the chat. So
Okay.
if you're able to see that, you'll have all of my information. And I would love to set up a time for you and I to talk. And we can, if we find that you need to do the work to build up your credit, I can refer you to someone.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just a matter of telling you a couple of things to do, or other times it might be, okay, let's refer you to someone. But yes,
Okay.
my information is there, so please. Um, and I could also put my calendar link there as well if you want to just set up an appointment at your convenience. I
Okay.
can do that as well.
And Narika, do you want me to send Letitia your phone number?
Sure can. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, let's
Yeah, I would
see.
like to get the ball rolling. I have no problem putting in the work. So I'm just ready to get things started.
Oh, I
Oh, that's right.
understand. Let's see. I'm going to
All right, I just
share
sent
my
that to you.
link.
I sent you her. Thank you guys so
Okay.
much for joining us and for attending. This has been great. I learned some things, so that's always good.
Okay.
Yes, let us know if you want to do it again. We can talk about some of this in more detail. We can
Okay.
probably, have some more visual opportunities, but it's a lot more engaged than what we said. But that overall gist, I think, is a good amount of information for a
Right.
first, you know,
Right. Right.
first taste of everything.
Yeah, so it's not to overwhelm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if nobody has any more questions, I think we could go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay.
It's getting close to my bedtime, and um,
Mine too.
I'll be in
I would
bed right
like to
after the kids.
I would like to say thank you, ladies, for your time and information. Greatly appreciated. And I'm looking forward to working with both of you guys.
You
You
are
ladies.
so
Sounds great.
welcome.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for attending. And thank you, Toya and Taki as well, for coming on here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was
Thank
good.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
All right, ladies. Have a good one.
All right, you
You
too.
too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.